Undisputed, the boxing game formerly known as Esbc, has finally invited people inside the chocolate factory to test out the game's beta, and I have a golden ticket. A big thank you to Steel City Interactive. Here are my thoughts on the beta. Side note, this won't be all about, the matchmaking or the connection issues. Get over it, it happens. Let's go ahead and start with the pros. So for one, guys, it does have decent graphics. Keep in mind the alpha footage wasn't the best when it first came out. So the beta is a nice step up from the alpha footage, but it still has a chance to be tuned by release day. So a lot of people saying that this looks like a 2010, 2014, 2016 type of game. There is a little bit of truth to that, but it still is a little bit refreshing. And I'm also going to remind you guys that this is way better than EA UFC 4, okay, guys? So it's not the worst graphics. It's better than the current UFC that we have. So the user interface was actually clean. It wasn't distracting or in the way. That is definitely a plus, because I know with boxing especially, things can get in the way. They might have some, transparency things that they should be able to work on where we can make it a little bit transparent. But overall, it's in a nice, clean area. I do like what they did with this. The remote layout, while it could be a little bit confusing, guys, it can be refreshing and free-flowing instead of button mashing. For example, guys, the bottom right analog stick was full punch control, which is a huge W, meaning you don't have to press X and square. All you have to do really is just move the analog stick a certain direction, and you'll be able to do the uppercuts. It's two birds in one stone. It feels nice and refreshing. Loose mode. I didn't figure this out while I was playing the beta, but I did fight somebody who was doing loose mode, and it was hard to kind of figure out what they were setting up, and that is a danger if you are on the receiving side of it. But if you're the person who is doing loose mode and, not engaging in such actions, you should be able to actually switch up your style a lot throughout the fight and be so unorthodox, so unpredictable. You will be able to dominate any fight that you step into. So loose mode was a huge W for me. It just can create interesting style changes throughout rounds and make you unpredictable. Now, guys, unfortunately, we have to get into the cons side of things. I'm going to be a little bit respectful considering the fact that this is a beta, and hopefully if anybody is listening as far as the developers, they can kind of make these adjustments. Now, first thing we have to get into, guys, you should be able to look at controls or your combos in between rounds. There's a good minute of you being able to do whatever. I'm not sure if there's like a mini game for damage or what exactly is happening in between rounds, but there was a good minute where I felt like if I could, I would be able to look at, some combos, some moves, maybe, a refresher, just so I could switch it up a little bit and learn from my mistakes. And I wasn't able to do that when I pressed start, when I pressed options. It came up with the surrender or something else. I think it might have been options for like the settings or whatever, but it wasn't for controls. So that was one thing that I was hoping for, and we did not get that. So that is a little con for me, because I would love to see, some moves so I could experiment a little bit and kind of get the one up on my opponent and learn from my mistakes. Things like that. The second con, guys, is a huge one for me. Punches were not registering. I know a lot of people out there are probably going to be thinking, oh, you missed your punch. You didn't land your punch like you did. No, I would land my punch and it would do nothing to the opponent. And that was a huge L for me. Again, it's beta stuff. So it could be they're going to tune it up here in the future, especially with all the data that they have now. But that was a huge thing for me, because we've already seen that in UFC 4, where you hit somebody clear as day and it does nothing, unfortunately, and that is going to cost you a win or two if it's actually in the final product. So hopefully they get that tuned up. Another con for me, guys, I wasn't able to knock someone out even after landing some powerful shots, where I'm talking body shots, I'm talking clear shots to the face, where they were just not going down. It seemed like I wasn't able to actually knock out anybody. I'm not sure if that is what the beta intended, or if that was a second day thing where they kind of took it out. I just could not knock anybody out. I saw the red bar, which was the health bar. It definitely went down a lot. But by the time the 8th round came and the opponent was making a lot of mistakes, I still wasn't able to get the person to knock out. I think damage, if anything, should be a little bit more of a factor. We'll talk about that more as I have other cons to it, but yeah, I wasn't able to knock out anybody, and I was delivering some powerful shots, even stunning them a little bit. I would have loved to see a stun, but as far as like you punching them and you get a camera flash as they took damage, it did nothing. Also, there was no repercussions for swaying into hits or clean power jabs and hooks to the face. Opponent would, literally, I'm gonna show you guys a clip right now. The opponent would have his chin in the air. He was swaying, like leaning back, clear as day, eating powerful punches and shots, no repercussions whatsoever. I would have liked to see it in a health event, a stun, a stumble, something like that, but it did not happen. So I'm not sure if that's because of maybe hidden perks, if there's like, oh, this guy has like such a chin, he could eat those shots, or if it has something to do with the power health bar combination. Either way, I'm not expecting to knock somebody out in one round, but I'm talking between rounds 6 and 8. You should be able to at least see a knockdown. Stamina seems to be a big thing here in this game. You have a lot of it. You can slowly but surely in between rounds kind of get it back to a certain point where you're not super behind, but in my opinion, it is a little high. Now, swaying should take away from stamina, because I had an opponent who was just moving around a lot and he did not lose any stamina. I'm not sure exactly what the heart rate is next to the stamina. I'm not sure if the higher it is, the worse of a position you're in, or the lower it is, you're more calm, or whatever it is. But it seemed to be that the stamina was way too high, especially when they're spamming it and they're not countering hits. So that was an issue for me, where they just were not taking any stamina. And I even stepped back a little bit and was watching the guy move around, and still no stamina dropped from it. I feel like there needs to be a little bit punishment to that, a little stamina play with the swaying, the weaving, things like that, so it could actually overall, if you're not doing it smart, boom, it's going to affect your stamina, it's going to affect you in the later rounds, and leave you more open to being attacked, stamina wise. Another thing that I had the issue with the stamina was that low stamina opponents backed away at the same speed as normal. That is another issue that I have. A guy completely empties his tank, missing every shot, and as I'm moving closer in for the kill to, capitalize on his mistakes, he moves away fast. He moves away at the normal speed, as he would if he had a full bar of stamina. And that's a thing that I didn't like as well, because you should be slower, you should be more available to be attacked more, easier to knock out when you make your mistakes, you blow through your tank. And especially if, I'm not even saying if you knock out somebody because they have low stamina, but at least let me hit you with a couple powerful shots to where the stamina bar drops because you made some mistakes. And if we're making a boxing thing, that should be something similar. Now, I hate to compare it to UFC 4, but that is something in UFC. You throw something and you're throwing while you're super low stamina, your stamina bar drops because you're over exhausting yourself. So I feel like that should be a thing too. Maybe just a little tune up, but yeah, you should definitely be able to move back super slow and for other people to capitalize. Now, again, I didn't get a knockdown or a knockout, but I heard that the mini game is absolutely terrible and needs to be reworked. After seeing a couple of videos, I do agree, guys, they need to make it a little bit easier. It probably should feed off of difficulty as far as your stamina bar. If your stamina bar or your health bar is, a little higher, you should be able to get up, right? But as the more you get knocked down, the less of a chance you have to actually get up. That is going to be a certain thing that should be a factor, maybe a little rework to the overall mini game, but yeah, they just need to work on that a little bit more. It's almost like, again, UFC 4, it's almost like the mini game for like when you're doing submissions. So it's not the best, right? It seems like they put something together and they thought it was, it was okay, but as the community got a hold of it, it was just difficult to understand, and I truly believe that if it goes into release day, a lot of people are going to be knocked down the first time and have a hard time getting up. So that is it for pros and cons, guys. A few things that I would like to see in the final release: control remapping for personal preference. Again, they do have a little bit of a confusing thing, but with the full control analog stick for punches, it's going to be nice. But there's a few buttons that I would like to move around, as far as body block and just weaving a different button. I would just like to move those things around. And it's 2022, guys, almost 2023. We should be able to control remap everything. So that is one thing that I would like to see. Also, a speed modifier to punches that works with stamina. Now, a power punch, understandable, requires power, right? I would like to see you throw something faster with you using your stamina and moving it back to defend yourself really quick. I don't know if that's realistic, guys, but it seems like in boxing you would throw something super fast to hit somebody, just because the window of opportunity is very slim, especially with the new blocking system that they have. I would like to see stamina be used for a speed modifier as well. But then again, guys, that's a whole different game changer. I doubt that that's going to be a thing, but that's something that I would like to see, in the final release. Another thing would be cleaner animations for toe-to-toe punches, hooks to both the face and body. I am a toe-to-toe fighter. I was just in there fighting with people. I was doing a lot, and it seemed like you would get tangled up and you wouldn't land a single shot. Even if the person was wide open, you were not able to get a single shot off, and that kind of bothered me. So I would like to see cleaner animations from toe-to-toe. If I throw a punch and I hit somebody, they should eat it, not automatically move their arm and stuff. So that was kind of an issue. Not sure if it's a bug again, but I would like to see that in the final product. I would also like to see their weaving mechanics tuned up a little bit. Oftentimes it didn't work well during the beta. It felt a little stiff, and oftentimes too, it did not want to move around. You would move to the left and it would stay to the left. Even if you move to the right, it would just stay to the left. And that is an issue that I had as well. Tune damage to power punches. Listen, if you're throwing powerful punches, you should be able to, and especially if you're landing them, okay? If you're landing power punches, it should do some type of damage. Again, this is the beta, so I didn't see no health damage as far as the head, the body, the ribs, the front, the chest. I didn't see anything like that. It could have been like that on purpose for later on, but I just felt like when I was throwing punches, it was just landing softly. Again, I'm not trying to knock somebody out in the first round, but as the rounds get later, from 6 to 8, we should be seeing knockdowns, especially for attacking the body. We're doing the level changes for punches, power, jabs, and we're being consistent with attacks. We should be able to see our work, like we're investing in the body attacks. We should see it in the future. And I just didn't see it. So hopefully they tuned the damage, and while they're at it, tune stamina as well. Stamina felt a little too high. I just don't believe it, guys. We're throwing anywhere from 200 to 600 punches in a fight, and that just needs to be worked on. It's the weaving as well. It just felt too high, but that's what boxers are for. They're conditioning. But that is about it, guys. Those are my beta thoughts. If you have any concerns as well, go ahead and drop them down in the comment section down below. I do believe they're going to be coming out with another beta, and this time for consoles. So I'm not sure if that's any truth to that or those are just rumors, but you have to assume that they want people to actually get their hands on this and really test out their matchmaking things or their connection issues. They would have to do it on console, where people have more consoles than they do have, $500,000 PCs. So if they do that, guys, I'm definitely going to dive into it as well, and we can go ahead and get into it. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. Again, any comments and concerns about the beta, any questions that you have, comment down below and I will answer them. I'm out!